From Luminary Media, you're listening to the AM Archives, Order and Chaos. This is Chapter 1, Barba Tenus Sapientes, by Megan Fitzmartin.
The Order's presence has gone unfelt far too long, Michal. These visits are crucial. Oh, we've seen what happens when we leave the organizations to fend for themselves. I'm talking about the AM, Michal. I'm not concerned about New Zion. You've always conducted yourself above reproach, but it would be more suspicious if we did not visit New Zion. This is not a punishment. The Order is visiting all organizations. Yes, even him. In fact, I'm here now. Oh, I will tell him none of that. I'll see what I can do, Michal. Percy?
Mr. Sandoval! Welcome. I couldn't believe it when you told me you were back. It's the best news. Where's my assistant?
I told her I knew my way. What?
Do you like it?
You've certainly changed the office to a vision of your own making.
Thank you. Would you like some tea?
No, thank you, Percy.
Oh, would you mind terribly calling me Permanent Secretary Higginson White?
What? Percy, why?
Protocol, procedure. It's in the handbook. Here it is. I keep it here to make sure we're always up to code.
That seems to be slightly antiquated.
It's British.
Percy. Oh, right. A Permanent Secretary Higginson White.
What brings you to London, Mr. Sandoval?
No, Percy. Permanent Secretary. I don't need tea.
Milk and sugar?
You're not listening, Percy.
Tea makes the world go round, Mr. Sandoval. One of these days I will find a tea that entices you, and then you won't drink anything else.
I admire your steadfast devotion.
Oh, we take our tea very seriously.
Indeed. Have things been going well since you've taken over?
Oh, we've certainly had our trials and tribulations, but we will overcome, same as any of your other organizations. Her Royal Majesty's Facility for the Strange and Atypical is not in the business of failing those in her care. We're not the Americans.
Indeed. Are you settling in well?
Drink up, you don't want your tea to get cold.
I did not want any in the first place.
Tea is protocol for a social call.
This isn't a social call.
You don't have to check on me. It's only been a few months.
I'm not your father, Permanent Secretary Higginson White. This is strictly business. I'm merely doing the rounds for the Order, following protocol. Since words reached us about some of the more concerning happenings with the AM, the higher-ups thought it a wise investment of our time to send me on a tour of all the organizations. Not just yours.
So, you're going to... Where have you been?
No, we're speaking about this facility. Not others.
Right, but I just want to make sure. How do we measure up? The protocol dictates taking you on a tour. Should I take you on a tour?
Percy, you forget I've been here before.
Years ago, before your retirement.
And just when I thought I had gotten out, you know the rest.
That was almost a pop culture reference. I'm so impressed.
Yeah, plenty of time to watch movies when you're alone in a cabin.
What brought you back?
Ugh. How on earth do you drink your tea without sugar?
Do you know, Britain only recently stopped using sugar. And now we drink the way God intended, with only milk and nothing else, but...
I've been here before, Percy.
You called her Permanent Secretary Campbell.
I didn't know her as well. So come, tell me, what other protocols have you established?
Not established. Her Royal Majesty's Facility for the Strange and Atypical...
Have you not found a shorter name?
...has existed as a pillar of the British atypical community, and no, we don't need a shorter name. We are fine as we are.
Is that so?
Yes. Now, Would you like the tour as the protocol dictates?
I have something else to talk about with you, Percy.
Must you keep not...
Something that isn't order business. Not entirely.
I've not done anything wrong. We're functioning well within the rules the Order has set forth, and we send weekly updates. Though I suppose if this isn't Order business, then I suppose you wouldn't be here about the updates or the rules. What else are you... Director Sharon sent you.
She didn't send me. I'm here of my own volition. But Michal mentioned you'd been having a spat.
She has blown things entirely out of proportion, as she is wont to do. I can't believe she sent you to do her dirty work. Actually, I can. She's conniving and manipulative, and she has no right.
She's got as much right to the artifact as you do.
We've had the artifact for years. It's safe here.
She seems to think there's no need to keep it safe.
She doesn't know that for sure.
Neither do you.
Is that what you came out of retirement for, to be on her side?
Percy, that's childish. I'm not on anyone's side.
Permanent secretary. I'm not a child.
I'm on the Order's side, and if this continues to grow out of hand, it won't be me coming to help resolve your conflicts.
She wants something, but she doesn't even know what the dangers might be.
So you're protecting her?
I'm not trying to protect anyone. Well, especially not her. It ended up in our hands. There's got to be a reason.
Well, it's my understanding a lot of things have ended up in British hands.
I beg your pardon.
Percy.
She may be right. There's no evidence that anything untoward will come of this artifact. But it might. There are so few atypical artifacts and even fewer ways to research them. I know what her arguments are, especially when they involve me. She thinks I'm unfit. I'm not trying to retain ownership of this out of spite, Mr. Sandoval.
I understand, Permanent Secretary. That's why I took the trip out here, to talk to you and to see this artifact.
Do you suddenly have the ability to figure out what this thing does?
Would that such an ability existed?
Maybe we should go on a tour.
We don't need to go on a tour. It's in this office. May I see it?
How did you know it's in my office?
I may not have known Permanent Secretary Campbell well, but I knew her enough. It looks like
a Fabergé egg. Yes.
Well, that's unexpected.
You can see why I'm suspicious.
Of an egg.
Why would anything take on the appearance of a Fabergé egg? What could possibly be the reason such a device would take on such an unassuming shape?
So, to be clear, you are suspicious of the artifact because of how unassuming it looks.
That's an oversimplification, but ultimately, it cannot bode well.
Percy.
Lee! I understand that my methods may appear rather preposterous and exhibit an overabundance of care. I see that you have little to no confidence in what I'm expressing to be a logical concern, but you're not permanent secretary of this facility, nor is Director Sharon. It took years, but Permanent Secretary Campbell put the atypicals, the history, and the artifacts under my care, and I will not treat these things lightly. No matter what your belief on whether I'm suitable for this position.
I was still at the cabin when I'd heard you'd become permanent secretary. You've worked long and hard for this position. You almost had it years ago, and when you didn't, well, that would have broken a lesser person. And now, I truly couldn't think of a better person to take up the mantle for this historied facility. But you are young, brash, and foolish. You want very desperately to be correct that you don't listen, especially to those that may bring valid points to the table, and that will be your downfall. Permanent Secretary.
Director Sharon is not an other that brings valid points.
Be that as it may, she is still a colleague of yours, so remain civil. What are we going to do about this thing, this egg?
Nothing.
The old ways are not always the ways in which we should stick.
This is new territory.
So we should learn more.
That might be infinitely worse.
The world does not wait, my friend. With technology bringing in a new era of transparency and globalization, changing the way business is conducted, very few things stay hidden now, in a way that is probably for the best. I value what you're saying, but a new age has dawned, and we better know everything we can.
I just don't think it's a good idea to give over control of the artifact.
Possibly.
But I can see that it might be a good idea to study it.
Yes, that is a start. So I'm going to Israel within the week.
Is she?
I told you. I'm not just checking in on you. I do have a job to do.
When will you see her?
I suspect I'll see Michal as soon as I touch down. She's not one to wait for me to show myself.
No, she is not.
Permanent Secretary Higginson White?
Yes, Mr. Sandoval.
I'm very proud of you.
The AM Archives is brought to you by Luminary Media and is a production of Atypical Artists. This episode was written by Megan Fitzmartin. In it you heard the voices of Felipe Figueroa as Lee Sandoval and Felix Trench as Percy. This episode was directed by Lawrence Shippen and sound designed by Anna Rodriguez. Original score by Evan Cunningham. The AM Archives is produced by Lawrence Shippen, Jordan Cope, Brigham Snow, and Evan Cunningham. Thank you for listening, and stay strange.